You feel Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 with on the Power Hour with myself, Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. Good morning, Lee. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Louise. Lovely to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you too. I know that we've spoken, a little bit on, we've spoken, on LinkedIn, and we've reached out, we've connected. I know you're really, really busy. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time out in your very busy diary to be with me today. We're just going to have a really organic conversation. Lee is extremely inspirational. Lee wears many hats, which I will leave the floor open for Lee to talk about. So, I just really wanted to just say that it's an absolute honor to have you here, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and what you do. I know that Lee, you're an entrepreneur, you're a trainer, and many more things, and I wouldn't be justified in giving the spiel. I'll let you give the spiel.
Well, firstly, I'm sorry to correct you, but it's Lea Turner.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My apologies.
So, first and foremost, I'm a solo parent to a 9-year-old boy. So me and Dexter sort of do life, just the two of us. I am a LinkedIn trainer currently, although I'm actually quitting that at the end of this year because I run a membership community called The Halt. And that's got 600 small business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs and people with sort of side hustles that are all over the world, all sorts of different industries, all different professions. And we train them. We offer masterclasses from amazing experts that give them the training that they might otherwise not be able to afford in the stage of business that they're in. And so, yeah, that keeps me busy pretty much all the time. I'm also on the board of trustees for a charity called Hope For. And yeah, that's probably it. There's a lot of different things within within all of those different roles that keeps me very busy. But those are the sort of 3 key things that I'm part of.
That's absolutely awesome. And can I just say, being a solo mum, just like myself, I've got an 11-year-old. The fact that alone, uniquely on its own, is a lot. Do you know what I mean? Juggling that one role, people don't realize that that's one role. And irrespective of the fact that you've got these other fantastic, amazing roles, things that you're doing in terms of leadership, in terms of change making, and I'd really like to know, actually, Lee, a bit about you. A little bit about your life in terms of feel comfortable to share what it is that you feel comfortable with, and what was the inspiration really around. Because I do know a little bit, but I'll save that for you to give those golden nuggets about the inspiration as a solo mum for you actually starting entrepreneurship and then wanting to support others. How did this beautiful mix of innovation begin?
Well, I started my first business when I was 26, which came as a bit of a surprise because I'd always just assumed, you grow up, you finish school, you get a job, you work for someone else till it's time to retire and then you die. So the idea of starting a business was a bit of a like, oh, I didn't realize I could do this. So I started that at 26 and it didn't earn a lot of money. I worked at it for a year and then left the full-time job that I had and went out on my own doing that. It was transcription. It was very poorly paid. And then when my son came along when I was 30, I continued to do the transcription work until COVID. And it was about 6 months before the COVID lockdowns that I'd started posting on LinkedIn and gained traction really fast and a big following really fast and a lot of clients. And my little transcription business suddenly had me plus 5 freelancers working on it. So it was like super, super busy. But the lockdown really affected my clients. They couldn't generate the work for me. And I still needed to be able to pay rent and bills and had my son at home, and I really couldn't be transcribing with my headphones and hours of concentration when I had a 4-year-old at the time, like running around. So people kept saying to me, how do you do what you're doing on LinkedIn? How are you getting all these leads and followers and engagement on your content? So I started offering to teach people in exchange for money, and that flew really fast. It became a 6-figure business in its first 10 months. It's made, like, between the businesses, you know, in the last 5 years, it's done probably over 2 million. So from 2019, I earned £18,000, and since then it's gone quite a lot different. 2 years into running the LinkedIn training, I'd developed a really strong community on LinkedIn. So not just a following, like people that were supporting charities I was supporting, that were helping me to improve my business. They were helping each other, and I was really giving a lot to the community. I was doing events like parties and networking events. And so I decided I wanted to start my membership community because I knew that I was really lonely in business. Like, I had friends, but I didn't have friends that understood what it was like to run a business, and they couldn't help me when I needed help. And I was constantly turning to, like, other entrepreneurs to get advice. And, you know, I needed to learn how to improve my copywriting, but I didn't have the money to pay for a course, or I needed to improve my sales calls, but a sales trainer was thousands of pounds. So I thought, well, hold on a minute. I've got all these people in my network that want my audience, because I've got, you know, 170,000 people that follow me on socials. They want my audience. So what can I get from them? And so I started being the middleman and offering not just community support and, you know, peer support to each other of the members in the community, but also bringing them in training that they really needed to be able to get to that level in their next level in business. So yeah, it all happened basically because I created what I knew I had a need for. And, you know, the charity work's come along the way. I became really passionate about a charity called Hope For, that I work quite closely with in supporting them, raising their brand profile. And I go out there. I'm going out next week with my son, for my 3rd trip out there. So yeah, it keeps me busy, but I've always been the champion of the little guy. I've never felt like I fitted in business, because I don't look like a typical corporate business owner or like a LinkedIn trainer or someone you'd even see on LinkedIn. And I wanted to create something that was for the people that didn't feel like they fit in, and that was comfortable. You could ask the stupid questions and you could get the support, or you know, the questions you think are stupid. And that's what I've created, and it's grown, you know, 600 members in just over 2 years. We've got a waiting list of 1,400 people because we only let a few in every month to grow it organic. Like, we want to grow it gradually and sustainably. So yeah, it's gone really well.
Yeah, that is so. It's honestly, as a single parent who's been on the trajectory of a very similar story, it is very inspirational. And when you spoke about the period of time during COVID, and I had just started a business about, you know, a few years before that as well, say about 3 or 4 years before. But I was just at a point where it was about to peak, and just like yourself, there was interruption because the first people to have their sort of income slashed at that time were subcontractors, were organizations where people were sort of piggybacking onto those organizations. They were the first people to go.
Yeah.
And we had to reimagine what our income or our actual business strategy, or even our kind of like goals and aspirations, we had to reimagine what that was. And hearing how you diversified your offering, but very naturally, in the sense that it was your own personal creativity, your own intellectual property, your own IP that you had created by being able to form great relationships, by being able to network, by being able to do something that became very natural, that come very natural to you, into something that was become a 6-figure business. Do you know what I mean? It's completely so inspirational. And if there were other, you know, people out there, single mothers or parents that are trying to get out of that sort of rigid structure of a 9 to 5 and go into their own business, what would you say to them? How did you overcome some of those barriers? Because I know there's childcare, there's, like you said, you couldn't transcribe with your little 4-year-old there and things like that. So how did you overcome some of those barriers?
Well, when I first started the training, I actually lived really far away from any family, so I had no childcare options. But I was very lucky that I had a lovely next door neighbour that would look after my son for a few hours a day while I was doing coaching calls. So that really, really helped. During COVID, we sort of created our own bubble, and then we were allowed to sort of. She helped me with childcare, and I paid her some money for it. So that really, really helped. But I think you've got to find something that works with your life, and something like training or coaching, or if you're maybe you've got a product that you can sell, those are things that you can do in evenings, which sometimes helps. Having supportive people around you that can help obviously is a huge step up. That really, really helps if you've got anyone. I think one of the things that solo parents in particular are not always very good at is asking for help. And actually, it's not going to be easy. If whatever you're starting, if you're an only parent or a single parent, or even a parent who's part of a relationship, it's going to be hard. And I think there's a lot of content all over social media, like, oh, it's really easy, you can just do this, you can just do that. It's not easy. It's never easy. There's no one of any of the entrepreneurs I've ever spoken to that would turn around and go, yeah, it was easy. It is not. You have to make sacrifices. You have to sacrifice sleep. You're going to be working yourself into the ground for the first few years, but you have to realize that it's going to be worth it. And there was a lot of times where I felt so much guilt because my son just wanted to sit and snuggle and watch something on the telly, and I said, I can't, I've got to do work. But I knew that I was working towards a better life for us both. So don't try and find shortcuts. It's not going to be easy. Don't fall for the get rich quick schemes, and find something that you love enough that you do not mind putting in the hours to do it. I think those are the key things. Those are the obstacles. And believe in yourself. Like, there's so much self-doubt, especially as a woman, and especially when you're a mum, because obviously becoming a parent, becoming a mum certainly gives you a hit to your self-esteem. Oh, I certainly found that. And there's a lot of like doubts of how I'm going to manage and the pressure that you feel. But if I can do it, and if so many of the women that I know can do it, everyone can do it. And it's going to look different to anyone, whether you're starting a cleaning empire or you're making like craft things that you're selling on Etsy or whatever it is. If you're willing to put in the hours and learn from anyone and everyone you possibly can around you. There's so many free resources. There are so many people willing to share their knowledge, especially on places like LinkedIn and the business communities on Facebook. There's so many people willing to help you and give you that leg up. Just be an absolute sponge for as much as you can learn and implement it. Don't be afraid to give things a try and fail. Just learn from it and then get up and go again. Don't, one failure does not mean a total failure. It's just a redirection and a lesson. So yeah, I think those are the key things I would say.
These are the golden nuggets. Are you listening to this? Community, listeners, LinkedIn followers, these are the golden nuggets. You've just had a free consultation from somebody who has been doing it and has been through the peaks and troughs. And when you spoke about the kind of barriers around imposter syndrome, right? That really resonated as well. Sometimes our self-belief, really going the extra mile to think and have that innate belief that we can do it is the thing that keeps the driving force, keeps us going. And when you hear stories like yours, and you realize if Lea can do it, having had these barriers in the way, having to find alternatives for childcare, having to diversify the business offering, then there's always the possibility for you to be able to do the same. So, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think there's so many parents and solo mums, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs doing a mix of 2, 3, and 4 of the other that need to be able to hear that, because we do, like you said, get to those moments where sometimes it's like, can I actually do this? Can I continue? Of course, if for any reason, you need to go back to work sometimes because, it's a case of between that and paying the bills, then, intermediary, perhaps you could decide, I'm just going to go back to my career until I can fill it in and get back to what it is. But it's completely, it's just so inspirational. And from there, Lea, you then, through your creativity, went on and then created a membership platform. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the Halt so that's what I launched in, June 2022. So like every month we bring in 4 external experts from the community, at least 4, that do masterclasses on things like sales, copywriting, imposter syndrome, burnout, mental resilience, finances, personal and business. We cover like anything that you think you need to get better on in business, whether it's lead generation, social media. We've had TikTok, we've had video editing, building your website, starting a podcast. We've got one at 2:00 today on how to start writing your first book. So all things that will make you better or your business better. So at least 4 of those every month. We also allow members to share their expertise with the rest of the members. So they cover a huge range of topics, from how to get a TED talk, overcome speaking anxiety, like how to create the perfect pitch, so many different skills. So we have like 1 or 2 of those a week. We have a tech clinic. So if you've got tech problems within your business, you can pop in for free and our tech expert will fix it for you live on the call. We have the same with a sales expert to help you improve your sales processes. We have me, I do LinkedIn clinics once a month. So if you need feedback on your profile, your content, or you're trying to find your ideal clients and you can't, like that's what I do on those clinics. We have community calls every Friday for people to network with one another. We do in-person events in different cities across the UK. We've got a Christmas party next month as well, which is free to all the members. And we also do, what else is there? There's like a library of content ideas, so you're never stuck for social media content. And we have like wellbeing circles every month as well to sort of tackle wellbeing, because entrepreneurs we always put ourselves at the bottom of our priorities, so we really focus on that. And then there's like a chat channel. So I've been in a few different communities. Our chat channel is busy, like all the time. People are always offering help. I actually did a post on LinkedIn today about what's happened in the last 7 days, and it's anything from a designer needing photos of a particular place in Spain, and one of the members happens to live near there, so she's going over there to take photos for him. And someone wanted advice on a pitch, and someone gave her like thousands of pounds worth of advice in a really detailed comment on improvement, which helped everybody. So that, for £50 a month, like you have access to all of that. It's kind of what, like, it's massively underpriced, but the point of it is to help the people who need it, that can't afford the hundreds of pounds every month that it should cost.
I only wish that I had that when I first started, because I find, as an entrepreneur and as an SME, you don't know what you don't know. And I just say SME because that's another abbreviation. That means small to medium enterprise. I just thought I'd tell you that, community, because I think that's another thing. When I walk into entrepreneurship or relationships with enterprises, corporation, government officials, we use a lot of abbreviations, and people don't even know exactly what that means, and it sounds really more complex than it is, and it's not very inclusive because not everybody seems to understand all these abbreviations, especially when it comes to tech. Like when I entered into the world of tech and I was supporting women and girls in terms of employability and opportunities in tech, the tech industry was saying, we're inclusive, the tech industry was saying that, we want more women in the industry. But then I was saying, where are the doors? Where are the windows? Your language is not the parity there in terms of language is not inclusive for women. You're aesthetically and everything that you're doing does not show women that technical space for them. So, I really love the fact that you have community where there are some people can bring their problems and their solutions, but they can also bring their products, their services, their creativity, their innovation. And I know, speaking for myself and lots of entrepreneurs that I know, I think that it would be and I'm sure absolutely is a very valued space.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know, and it's only sometimes when you get to that point, and if you have a community of people that you might not have the same business, but you might have similar issues, right?
Mm. I think one of the things that we get a lot from in terms of feedback from people is that it feels like a safe space, because we do prioritize inclusivity. And while I would say that our membership is predominantly UK based, white cisgender people, we also have a range of diversity. I mean, we've got people from Panama to New Zealand, from Malaysia to like Oman in the community, and we've got a range of ethnicities, religions, gender identities, physical and mental abilities, and nobody gets judged, and people feel very comfortable. We even have a mental health channel where if someone's just having a bad day, they can talk about it, and there will be people that will support or signpost, because we've got mental health professionals within the community that are very responsive as well. But we want to be that safe space. And I think because I have a zero tolerance policy on bad behavior in there, and only 3 times I've actually just removed people, refunded them, and said you're not a right fit for us. And I've been very vocal about that in the community, not about who I've removed, because I would never say anything like that, but they have been removed. This is why they've been removed. Please make sure that this is not behavior you're going to exhibit. And we are very much zero tolerance. It's in all the policies and all the rules of being part of the community, because I don't want anyone to feel excluded. It doesn't matter whether they like what they believe in politically,
or where they're from. We
are there for the same reason, to support one another, and those things shouldn't interfere with that. And I lead with, or I like to think I lead with, respect and kindness at the forefront, and so that's the types of people that I attract to the community, and that the other members attract. And we let people refer their friends in. So there's a massive waiting list. Obviously, you can tell why there's a massive waiting list now. But we let members bring their friends in and skip the waiting list. And that way there's a sort of sense of accountability of who they're bringing in, because no one wants to be associated with someone who's behaving badly. So we have a very strict no knobs allowed policy, which is how we word it, which is why this very bizarre sign is behind my head.
Oh, is that the one? I think I can figure out what you mean.
That was a prop from my podcast. I didn't realise it was still in shot. That's our strict policy on there, and so we had to remove too many of them. But it works. It works because people know that
it's accountability, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course not everybody gets along. Not everybody's a big fan, but
respect.
One reason.
I think you need to have respect for people, respect for others. Like you said, be kind. And we might not always understand one another, right? But it's important to objectify the kind of treatment from somebody that you would like to receive yourself. Isn't it? It
goes respectfully curious without being, offensive or you'll often see conversations in there where people will respectfully ask more questions to gain a better understanding. But we're there to learn from one another, and even if we've got a difference of opinions on things that are very important to us, there's always things that we can learn from each other's points of view. And I love that the community kind of embraces that more than that. There's no judging one another, and that's something that I've been judged my whole life. Of course, most of us have, but I love that.
But your superpower, you turn it around, right? We can turn these things around about because when you said earlier, you said, I don't look like someone that's probably on LinkedIn, on things like that. Straight away, I was thinking about the uniforming. That's probably the wrong word, but the way that people uniform the expectations of what it is people should look like, act like, be like, and that is biased in the sense. I think that I'm so glad that lots of communities that we're in, Lea, are moving out of that thinking, because I actually had a situation where when I started my organization and I went into a space as the director, and somebody thought I was there for the reception role. So I know it's in a corporate environment, so I know exactly what you mean. So I'm just getting a little hang there. So we've got a break in 2 minutes because it's live radio, and I think about a minute. Oh, it's all right. I think that's about a minute, and then will be back. But exactly that, in the sense that we need to think outside the box of what our norm is.
Yeah.
Not other people, because that isn't necessarily our norm, and but respect the fact that different people are going to be coming into that space.
Yeah.
And so I know exactly what it is that you mean, and you absolutely do objectify a business professional, a LinkedIn leader. You've absolutely smashed it. And there are people that need to be looking up to you and learning from the fact that you have a personal lived experience as part of the reason why you are here today. I also think that there's something within charities, corporations, and just in terms of just the expectations of policies, procedures, and everything else, where we need to do a lot more learning about from people that have had the lived experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We're going to go into a short commercial break, and then we'll be back again to just finish the second half of the show. Please do not touch that dial. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with myself, Louise Power, and Lea Turner, because I got that completely wrong at the beginning and I won't ever do it again. Please do not touch that dial. We'll be right back. Oh, when you smile.
Could you just turn off the volume for about 10 minutes?
London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
आप यूके में ताज़ा शिफ्ट हुए हैं, तो अब आप एक ऐसे बैंक का अकाउंट खोल सकते हैं जो आपकी बैनुल-अक़वामी ज़रूरियात का ख्याल रखे। HSBC यूके इस ज़िम्न में मदद के लिए हाथ बढ़ा रहा है। यूँ आप अपने रोज़मर्रा के अहम कामों, बिल्स की अदायगी, रेंट पर प्रॉपर्टी का हसूल, सेल फोन की खरीदारी करना और हालात के मुवाफिक खुद को ढालना। आज ही HSBC बैंक अकाउंट तलाश करके शुरू कीजिए। HSBC बैंक यूके, मवाक़े की दुनिया खोलना। उम्र 18 साल या ज़ायद हो और अहलियत का मयार लागू हो। HSBC यूके में आपको करंट अकाउंट स्विच गारंटी की हमायत हासिल है।
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं हैं। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों को गुर्बत के मुसलसल चक्कर से बचने का मुसावी मौका मिल सकता है। इस रमजान आइए आपके ताउन से इस बात को यकीनी बनाएं कि हर बच्चे को मयारी तालीम हासिल करने का मौका मिलेगा। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के जरिए बच्चे की तालीम को स्पॉन्सर करें। बस हमारे मकामी दफ्तर 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS पर तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
निकाह, तलाक, काउंसलिंग और
Hello, good afternoon. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with your host today, myself, Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. And today, since 12 o'clock, I've had Lea Turner in the hot seat. Lea is an entrepreneur wearing multiple hats, including LinkedIn trainer, which of course Lea was sharing with us that's soon coming to an end because she's very, very, very busy at the moment with the Holt small business community, where it's a fantastic place for entrepreneurs and small to medium businesses, people to meet and share, share what it is they're doing, have support, technical support, live technical support, Lee's expertise with LinkedIn networking and lead generation. And actually, that is exactly the next thing that I wanted to ask you about. Talking from a very grassroots perspective, we're speaking into the communities of people that are entrepreneurs, are just starting, Lea, and they're SMEs trying to grow, or just starting out. Can you give any tips or hints about how to actually get that first client? How you
on LinkedIn
or LinkedIn or business, or just establishing, what are some of the things that people can think about in terms of establishing those relationships that lead to income? Because some people don't know how to cross over from the fact that they've got this multi-million pound, let's just say, idea in their mind. I want to sell it to people. I want to give it in service, or I want to give it in product. But how do I translate that with my relationship building, or what are some of the things I need to be thinking about?
I mean, the first thing is, when you're signing up for LinkedIn, or you're, revisiting a LinkedIn account that you've never used before, sort your profile out. There are so many features on the LinkedIn profile, whether you're a free user or a paid user, that are really, really useful. Like having a profile that actually talks about how you help people and the transformations they would be witnessing in their lives, in your about section, and a headline that really helps. There's actually, on my website, there are some free resources in the shop that people can download, which are really, really helpful, and there's no strings. But it's about getting a profile that really sells what you do, so that you don't have to be selling what you do with everything that you post. Because when you go onto LinkedIn, you need to be thinking about, how do I build relationships, not how do I sell to people? Because most people on LinkedIn are not there thinking, I'm here to buy something. They're all thinking, I'm here to sell something. So if you're constantly sell, people disengage. They're not interested. Why buy from you? They could buy from all these other people that have taken time to build relationships with them, and they trust those people more. So when you're starting out, you need to think about, what can you give to the community? What advice can you share? How can you let them get to know you? Don't just talk about the thing that you do. Talk about who you are and why you do it, and the results that you get, and show them what you're doing on a daily basis. Are you going for a meeting? Who are you meeting with? What are you going to be discussing? What are you excited about for the day? Take them on the journey of the business with you, highs and the lows. You don't have to share like your deepest, darkest secrets, but take them on that journey with you, because that's what's been so successful for me, is that people have watched me go from this very right at the beginning and to where I am now, and they're invested in the story, and people buy into it because they've seen my values and integrity and the struggles that I've had and the wins that I've had, and they celebrate or commiserate with me along that journey. And that's not just exclusive to me, that's everybody doing it very successfully on LinkedIn who has a trusted brand is doing that. They're taking people on that business journey with them, because it's very relatable to other people. They're learning lessons from your mistakes. They're learning things that they should try because of your successes. And just focus on building a relationship. Like, you're actually at a networking event. You're there to join conversations, to start conversations, to engage with people, to support them, to empathize with them, whatever it is. If you take away the need to sell and take that pressure off yourself, I'm just here to build relationships with people, because those people that you take the time to build relationships with, even if they don't need what you do, there's a very high chance that they're going to know someone who does. And guess whose name they're going to be mentioning? Because it's you that they've seen, the results that you're getting, and the commitment that you have, and the love, the passion you have for what you do. So that, when you're using LinkedIn, have your profile, because your profile is designed to sell what you do to people, but focus in your content and in your comments and in how you engage with the platform on building friendships, relationships. I mean, I have so many friends that now are people that I first met on LinkedIn. And it sounds crazy for people that haven't really built relationships and friendships online. It sounds a bit crazy, but it's just like the co-working space cafe, where you go in and you get on with your work during the day, and then you take your little breaks and you go and have a good chat with people, and they say, oh, I know someone who might need what you do. Can I pass on your number? And you're like, yeah. And it just works. It's like that. You're building your own ideal networking event, and meet people that you don't like, block them, delete them. If they're not valuable and you don't enjoy seeing their content, get rid of them. You don't have to. There's no reason that you have to keep following that boss that you worked for 10 years ago that you hate and you don't want to post on LinkedIn in case he's looking at it. Just delete him, block him. So he's not helpful now. You don't owe them anything. And make your newsfeed a place that you like spending time. So if there's 3 black dots on every single post in the corner, you can click those and say, I don't want to see content like this, or unfollow this person, and you stop seeing it. So
I need to see you myself. I need to see you myself. But it's so refreshing to hear and to get those tips. And I know that our listeners are very appreciative of what you've shared today. Sometimes you just need to, you don't know what you don't know, you just need to hear it. And, you know, I'm going to do a show actually whilst you were talking about keeping it real, because right now you're keeping it real. And sometimes we just need to keep it real because it's our authentic self. And whilst you were speaking, my brain was going, and the reason why is because I'd done a diversity and inclusion panel last week at Soho House. And one of the people on the panel, a great girl from, great woman from Openreach, and they were speaking, Aisha her name is, and they were speaking about the way that they have connected with their employees. And part of that was about vulnerability. We spoke about the importance of talking to our employees and talking to our networks about ourselves. We're not saying to tell everybody about your, you know, not to hold anything back and not have some things confidential, but people do, like you said, not buy in. I'm not talking about, when I'm talking about buy in, I'm talking about connect with, buy into the real authentic you. They want to connect with those relationships about who it is you really are, and by the fact that you've been open and shared that journey, people are invested. And I think that what we were saying on that panel last week was that there are decision makers that don't understand sometimes the barriers of the people that are working at grassroots levels because there's not an openness in conversation. And actually, sometimes some of those decision makers and senior leaders, if they're a little bit more open about their everyday lives, then people on the ground doing those roles can connect more. You know, you get a lot more retention, I think, with people staying in organizations because it's more than just work. There's relationships that are built. I know who my senior leaders are. I know a little bit about their lives. I know a little bit about what they like. I know what drives them. I know their passions. And it's the same, like you were saying, in this virtual co-working community, where we're able to share a dialogue about what keeps us going, what drives us. And then other people, kind of circular economy of people saying, you know, coming to work, we partnering with us on a project for a few months, and then recommending us to other people, and perhaps they haven't necessarily got something now, but then they're, like you said, they remember us for the next time, or, oh, you know what, not quite for me, but I know somebody who's really in need of that service. So building relationships is extremely important. And also, when you mentioned blocking and deleting, I thought that was actually also really important, because intention and purpose is important to know where we're investing our time.
Yeah,
you know?
It's something that I come across with people all the time. And I say, okay, what do you see when you log on to LinkedIn? Someone who's thrilled to announce something every 3 posts, and it's some guy that you're not even sure how you connected with him, and he's wearing a grey suit and he's working in finance, and all he does is talk about his a salary increase or a promotion or a new team member, and there's nothing to engage. Like, you're not interested in that. Whereas my newsfeed is full of pictures of office dogs, people sharing stories about taking their kids with them to work on a day trip. They're meeting up with other people within their industry and celebrating something, or having meetings in beautiful places. And it's pictures and it's stories and it's jokes and it's funny videos and it's stuff that's easy for me to get involved with. And obviously not everybody's creating content like that, but people just get stuck in this news feed of content that is desperately dull, and they think that that's the sum of LinkedIn. But the reason LinkedIn isn't showing you things that you're interested in is because the algorithm doesn't know what you want to see, because you've never engaged with any content and you've never posted any content. So it doesn't know anything about you. And it's like walking into a restaurant and expecting the head chef to know your favorite meal to cook when you haven't told him what you're allergic to or what ingredients you enjoy. You can't expect them to serve up something you enjoy if you don't know, you haven't given them any information. So when you change what you're seeing on your newsfeed and feed LinkedIn information about what you're interested in by leaving comments, by visiting profiles, by connecting with new people that are interesting, it suddenly and very quickly starts to show you that interesting content that is bright and colorful, and copywriters that make you laugh, and video creators that teach you something, and all sorts of things. And that makes it much more like the friendly pub that you pop into after work every day and have a little laugh and a joke with your friends over a glass of wine, than what feels like a stuffy boardroom full of, white middle-aged men in suits that you go, I'm not wanted here. Because you won't feel like creating content that feels authentic to you when you're stuck around people that don't look like you and don't act like you. You need to find people that you connect with and relate to, so that you relax and feel more comfortable to be yourself. And then you can start creating content and attracting people that vibe with what you're about as well. And the best people in the world to work with are people that we like. Right? I mean, we could work with anybody, but if we're being idealistic, we want to kind of work with people that we actually like working with, that we like as people, that we want to see succeed because we believe that they're good and they're decent. And when you're putting out content that shows that you are good and decent, it's good and decent people that you attract into your sphere of existence. And I've certainly found that. Not exclusively, I do attract some not so nice people as well, but I'm a lot better at filtering those out now. After a few years in business.
That I'm listening, and I'm literally just I feel like I'm in a masterclass, Lea. I feel like I'm in a masterclass. I'm just like I'm soaking it all in, and I'm going to go back and listen to my own show afterwards just to make sure that I take all the notes. And I'm going to be saying to my critic, did you write it down? Because we're having a little mini masterclass here, because absolutely, I'm going to say everything you said. I'm just going to say everything you said. Everything that Lea said are all golden nuggets to the things that it is that will help you to create the space that you're safe, you're comfortable, confident to take things to another level. And when we first started, you said 3 things. You spoke about LinkedIn training, you spoke about Holt, and you also spoke about being on boards. And that was very reflective for me just now. I thought about the board part of it when you spoke about the fact that being in spaces with people that you can speak about creativity, create things with, and one of the things that I do, which I've briefly told you about, is that I'm the president of a charity called Changing the Chemistry. And at Changing the Chemistry, our objective is to increase diversity on boards, but also the importance of diversity of thought. The fact that you and I, if we had a product or a service, would have our own unique attributing superpowers about how we could bring that forward. From your lived experience to my lived experience, from my professional experience to your professional experience, creating a policy or a procedure or a whatever it was, or a product, or holding organizations to account, we would be part of that beautiful menu option that you spoke about when when we're getting our meal from the chef. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your board journey, your inspiration for joining a board, and really your experience with boards, and anything that you think is important for people to consider being on boards.
Well, so I sit on the board of Hope For, which is a charity that operate out in Moldova, and they sort of work with people who are victims of poverty, trafficking, they're refugees, and they're domestic violence, people who've been involved, victims of domestic violence. So Moldova operates, the country is in 80% poverty. So it's the poorest country in Europe. It's got a lot of needs, a lot of problems, and so I go out there regularly. I'm only part of the board because I became a key fundraiser for them, raised a lot of money, and was asked to be a trustee, which I agreed to, and then I was invited to join the board. That's the only board I sit on at the moment. I'm not adverse to having conversations with people about sitting on a board for other things, because I can bring a lot of diversity of thought and experience and creativity. But for the moment, it's just them. I'm involved in big decision making when they're making big decisions. The founders consult me when they need ideas for things, or they just need some support, and I go out to Moldova once a year, at least, if I can. I think I'm going out twice in the next 6 months to support them. I go and meet with diplomats. I was meeting last time I was there with the British and the Ukrainian ambassadors, and have discussions about, what Hope For are doing, how much it means to them, plans for the future. So I don't really have experience in terms of other boards, but I do enjoy the work that I do, and I'm incredibly passionate about what Hope For do, and how different they do it, because unlike with a lot of the big charities, every pound that you donate does actually go to impact with Hope For. They don't take 85p for the pockets of the founders that don't take any salary whatsoever from the charity. So it's it means a lot to me to be part of it, and my businesses donate directly to Hope For, and I'm always on the lookout for more corporate partnerships with people. So that's something as well, that as with a presence online, that I'm always keeping my eyes open for potential relationships where we could get more corporate sponsorships to escalate the impact that they're having it even more. So yeah, I can't really offer too much insight in terms of other boards, but I do kind of hope that that's something that is in my future, because I like the challenge of new businesses, new industries, and it excites me because my brain starts like popping off with ideas, and I'm like, oh, we could do this. And with me stopping LinkedIn training, I am hoping to explore the idea of doing some like non-exec type roles, where I can offer my own expertise in those areas to help them.
Thank you so much, Leah. Hearing about Hope For and their objective, it's very much in alignment with myself. I do a lot of work with women and girls, and advocating and looking at the disparities, that women and girls have to face, like domestic violence, like poverty and deprivation. So very much a passion of mine. And I think having somebody like yourself in those spaces, you have not only fundraised, so you're making a difference with in terms of their sort of like economy and on the ground, and invest in those women, but in terms of your lived experience as well. I think that it's unmatched when you have a woman in that space who has overcome resilience, overcome barriers, been able to create something for herself, and yet go into those spaces and be able to see things differently. And that's why it's so important to have a voice for all different intersections, because only those of us that have had those experiences know exactly what it is to be in those spaces and places, and able to have that objective view about the solutions, because it's all about solutions. Right? It's all about wanting to create solutions to make the world a better place, to make things better for the women and girls in that space that you're supporting. So absolutely 100% think it's great that you're on boards, and I hope people listening into this show that are considering, oh, do I have the qualifications to be on a board? I'm not sure what it means to be a non-executive trustee. you can just start, even if you don't have a lot of work experience, you can literally just start with your own lived experience and start with volunteering on a board that is relational to your lived experience, whatever it is that it might be. If you see a need and something where you think you can make a difference, you can literally start there. And
when I first started LinkedIn training, I'd only been using LinkedIn for 6 months. And I thought, oh my God, my audacity, how dare I teach other people how to do it? But they were asking for my help and I'd done it. I've only been doing it for 6 months, but I was doing what they wanted to do. So I had the knowledge to show them how to do what they were doing better, to do it more like I was, and they were going to pay me for it. And, you know, there's no qualification to be a LinkedIn trainer. Like, I can't go and get a degree in LinkedIn training, but I just had I had to ignore other people saying, oh, you've only been doing it for 6 months. Like, who are you to really be teaching people? You don't really know that much. I went, I know enough that people are willing to pay me for it, so I'm going to give it a go.
And exactly. And what qualifies them? What qualifies them to qualify you?
Yeah, it feels so uncomfortable to do that, and you're going to get. And I had so many people saying, like, "Are you sure? Like, this is a bit ridiculous. You've only just started. There's loads of people way more experienced than you." And half of those people were in my bloody head, weren't they? Going, "You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this." But I thought, well, what else? What other choice have I got? My business is affected, and I need to make money. Why don't we just give it a go? It might not work, but we'll give it a go. And I kept giving it a go, and then I gave more things a go, and I went, "Oh, actually, this is going quite well." So you don't know till you try. And if you feel like you should try for whatever it is, you're going to regret not doing it. It's better to try and fail at it than it is to never try and always wonder. Because those are the regrets we'll die with. We'll go, oh, my life might have been different if I only had been brave enough to give that a shot.
You heard it here. You heard it here. This is the masterclass, people. You heard it here. It's better to try than not to try, because at least you can say you gave it a go, right? And you know, and this leads really lovely, actually, Lea, into my next question. As we wrap up here as we wrap up here, coming to the end. Sorry, somebody was just waving a 2 minute banner. That's why you see me looking up at over at the back there in the studio. But I asked this question in all of my shows, and I really like it. It's my little pop-up question at the end, and it is: if you had to have a conversation with your younger self, the younger Lea now, the young, if you had to have a conversation, you're the Lea now with 177,000 people on LinkedIn, and you've done all these amazing things. However, if you had to be a conversation with a younger self, what would you say to her?
You're way more capable than people have told you are, for sure. Because I was always told, you'll never make anything of yourself because you're tattooed. You're never going to do anything unless you go to college and university. And I dropped out at 16 and went, okay, well, we'll figure this out. I wish I'd started younger and get on LinkedIn sooner. I definitely wish I got on LinkedIn like 10 years ago, because I could have been much further ahead than I am now. But I think the timing was quite serendipitous, really, with the sort of where COVID happened. People were socializing so much more online for human interaction. So it all came quite serendipitously. But yeah, definitely be more ambitious. You're actually able to do far more than you've ever been made to believe you're capable of. And that would have changed my life. I just needed one person that believed in me back then, and eventually,
exactly.
Eventually, but yeah.
Oh, the golden mix inside the ingredients is actually that you, even though someone didn't believe in you, is that you went ahead and you believed in yourself. So what was the driving force for that belief?
My son.
I knew you was going to say it. I was just, because it's the same for me.
Nobody believed I'd be a good mum. Like, I think when I found out I was pregnant, because I was on my own, I was very much a party girl, and people were like, really? You're going to have a baby on your own? I was like, well, looks like it. And I learned that I was actually a very good mum. And that's, you know, I'm not humble in saying that at all. I love being a mum, and it's the one thing in my life I feel like I'm absolutely, not all day, every day, but in the majority, nailing. I love being a mum, and it's changed my life. And that made me believe that what other people thought I was capable of and what I knew I was capable of were actually very different. And that's he's been the driving force for me. I need to believe in myself because he needs to see me believe in myself, or why will he believe in himself? So it changed everything.
I'm so inspired. I'm a boy mum as well. My one's 11. I'm a boy mum.
Still give me cuddles.
Still gives me cuddles, and I'm a solo mum, and he most definitely is my driving force. And just like you, Lee, what I say is, with my adversity, I created opportunity. It was just him and I never forget the day when it was just him and I, and my creativity started to spin, and my entrepreneurship started to gravitate and become reality. And just like yourself, my driving force, the resilience, my reason, my season, my lifetime is my son. So I completely understand. It has been such an honor having you, Lea.
Thank you so much for having me.
Literally such an honor, and I can't wait for us to catch up again. And you know, I look forward to you posting our show and you know, taking snippets, or you know, doing whatever it is that you need to. And the links that I sent you on LinkedIn, the YouTube link, that's live now, so people can click that and watch us straight away.
Brilliant.
and see this show and hear this show, and that's it. We're part of the digital legacy now. This is forever somewhere. far exceeds us, so hopefully we're making differences in the world, even far past our time here in this beautiful, wonderful world. So thank you so much, Lea, and I look forward to catching up again very, very soon.
Take care.
Take care. You have been locked into Revive FM 94.0, the Power Hour with myself, Louise Power, and my guest today, Lea Turner. See you again, same place, same time next week. Bye.